Okay, we are live, and I'm going to cut this session. We are live. We'll just wait for 3 more minutes and then we will start.
Sure.
We have those who have joined, please type in your name and the place where you're joining from. We have an retired Indian Forest officer or Indian Forest Service officer from Himachal Pradesh, Mr. B.D. Suyal. Welcome, Mr. Suyal. Prashant, whom most of us know from Corbett, Uttarakhand. Parthaji from Tripura. Quite a few eBird reviewers have also joined, which is nice.
So, Mittal, Ankita, the chat part, so everyone will be able to see, right? Not just us. Both the questions as well as chat.
Yeah. So Ankita is going to tell us how we have to use the chat and how we are going to use the question.
Yeah. Okay. My question is more about the visibility part. So all can see the chats that are going on. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Shall we start now? It's 7.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today, and thanks for all of you for waiting as well. I see a lot of you are very eager. I'm Ankita. I'm an event coordinator at Nature Conservation Foundation. I'm joined today by Mittal and Ashwin, who are a part of Bird Count India, and our expert of the hour, GK. Thank you to my fellow panelists for joining us today, for facilitating this webinar. So before we begin the webinar, there are a few things to keep in mind. Your audio and your video are automatically turned off. Please put any comments that you have that you want to share with us in the chat box. GK has some very exciting quiz questions for us coming up. So when GK has a question for you, the poll will pop up on your screen. So you can select your answer and hit the submit button. Make sure you select the submit button, otherwise your answer won't be recorded. In case you have any specific questions, please use the Q&A option, which some of you already have. The Q&A button should be there at the bottom of your screen, or in the 3 dots, there are more options. So the Q&A should be there. The option should be there. Please don't put your questions in the chat because it will get lost. So any specific questions you have, put them in the Q&A option. Please be respectful in your comments and your questions to the speakers or to the rest of the audience. Today, we are joined by some experts and also some people who are very eager to learn about harriers, who don't know anything about harriers. Please don't be hesitant to ask your questions. Our experts are very happy to share their knowledge with us today. So any question you have, any comment you have, just please be polite and respectful, and let's all have a very fun time learning about harriers. Mittal will now introduce us to Bird Count India and GK.
Thanks, Ankita. Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Mittal, and Ashwin, Ashwin and we work with Bird Count India. And Bird Count India is an informal partnership that brings together bird watchers, organizations, and groups from all across the country. We believe that every single bird observation, from your casual birding to more systematic surveys, can be a valuable piece of information. By engaging with thousands of birders like you, we are able to build a collective knowledge base about the distribution, abundance, and seasonal pattern of India's birds. And this information isn't just for us, it's the foundation for important conservation efforts and informs outputs like the State of India Birds Report. We facilitate this through various activities, from organizing and collaborating bird count events, workshops, webinars like the one you're attending today. Next slide, please. So on our Bird Count India website, you will see a lot of things that we collaborate with our partners, events and workshops like we talked about. And there are also some exciting eBird challenges if you ever are interested to participate in it. And next slide. So today's webinar is the first in our new Raptor series, where we will be covering different Raptor groups over the coming months. We are starting today with one of the most elegant, distinctive groups, the Harriers. And these birds are known for their low coursing flight and are absolutely wonderful to observe once you know what to look for. And for more than a decade, GK has been studying raptors, combining hands-on field experience with serious academic study. He's developed a particular expertise in the challenging identification of falcons and harriers, understanding the details of their appearance, behavior, and where they are found. As the lead of the Madras Naturalist Society's project, Raptor Watch, GK is the forefront of documenting raptor diversity and the fascinating urban distribution of peregrine falcons in and around Chennai. So without further delay, let me welcome GK to take us into the wonderful world of harriers. Over to you, GK.
Thank you so much, Mittal, for the introduction. And thank you, Bird Count India, for introducing this series where we'll be learning together the most fascinating family of in the bird world, the raptors. Okay, let me quickly share the screen. Hope my audio is coming up okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, the next 1 hour we'll be covering very specialized group here, and the circus, or in the Latin terms, Kirkos family. And it is these are specialized group, especially in terms of their breeding, and then their the roosting habits, and also the way that they apply their flight behavior. So yeah, without further delay, let's get into the next slide. So before we go into looking at harriers, I would like to quickly give an introduction about raptors in general, right? So here we will have a mix of audience, amateur birders, and also experts. But then I'll make sure that I'll keep it common across, so that nobody gets bored here. So raptors are the birds of prey. The diurnal birds of prey, which have specialized tools to hunt live prey and also consume live prey, kill and eat live prey. And they have a hooked beak, and then very strong talons, and strong feet and specialized flight feathers to apply different flight techniques in order to capture the prey. And just like the any other predatory animals, so raptors have the ability to capture prey much bigger than their own size. So usually, all the birds of prey, including the nocturnal birds of prey, will come under the definition of raptors. But then usually the raptor term in common will be directed towards the diurnal birds of prey. And as you see on the right hand side, the silhouettes of different raptor groups, they are diverse in size, in structure, in their habits, the habitats that they prefer and they are strong against, and the different flight techniques. So they are a diverse group. And we have the smallest of the family, which is just falconets, 14 to 15 centimeter max, and to the biggest of them, like the Andean condors, 3-meter wingspan. So they are so diverse that both in terms of shape, size, and structure, and along with that, the plumage also varies. Some of them by gender, some of them by age, and so on, and also with species. So it is always challenging until we know some of these tricks and traits. That's what we are going to learn today. And yeah, over years I have found falcons and harriers very fascinating, and where I spent most of my time in understanding them, learning through various books and things, and then also on the field. Without further delay, let's get into our main topic, the harriers. So harriers, medium-sized raptors, they have a very uh, lean wing panel. You can see here, of the different groups, very lean wing panel and a very long tail and small head. And, you know, they also have a long tarsi, with which is used to, get the prey from their, wetland or marshes or reed beds or grass. And basically, they are from the circus family. Basically, it's a Latin word called circus, which actually turned into the circus, which means that their nature of circling around, especially during the breeding season, they do something called a sky dancing. And during the sky dancing behavior, the males circle and then go up, and then they dive down, doing a lot of maneuvers. And based on that, I think based on that observation, they have given this family name. And they are very specialized with respect to a few things. Um, of the raptor groups, entire raptor groups, right? They have a very good hearing, acute hearing senses. There are just like how we have in owls, they have rough feathers around their head, and which acts like a parabolic, and also they have large ear openings through which they will direct even a small muzzle around, within a, the habitat that they are countering around, and which will help them find out their quarry and pounce on them. And these are medium-sized raptors, as I already mentioned, black-eyed size, black-eyed plus size, and they have the lowest wing loading. So wing loading is um, the the wing area and the weight of the bird. They have the lowest wing loading, which helps them fly slow, very slow, over their habitat, so that they can listen to what's happening below the grass, below the reed beds, and then they'll be able to catch their prey. That's what this specialized wing loading helps them for. And apart from that, these are one a group of birds which actually roost as well as nest in the open ground, right? Most of the other raptors that we have known, they roost in trees, in electric pylons, all sort of things. But then harriers always roost in the ground, and also they nest in the ground. And we have around 16 species worldwide. They are very pretty widespread, excepting Antarctica. And we have 6 species in India. Most of them are winter migrants, except pied harrier. There are very few records of them breeding around Manas, but nothing recent. Those are all historical records. But otherwise, all the 6 species that we get in India are considered as winter visitors. And habitat, they prefer open country, grassland, marshes, reed beds, and they are specialized, as I already mentioned, they are specialized hunters, wherein they hunt birds, reptiles, and also some, like, species like Marsh Harrier hunt fish also, and all the amphibians and whatnot. And since the prey base is hidden right under the grass and marshes, and I think that's the adaptation of that best acoustics that they have, the hearing sense through which they'll be able to see what is happening under the ground, and they'll be able to hunt successfully. Okay, moving on. So photo credits, some of the all the images that I've used here are from eBird and Macaulay Library. And I've mentioned the photographer's name under each of the images, and also the copyright lies with them. And the photographs used in the presentation are exclusively for this learning and educational purpose. Okay, moving on. So for us to understand more with respect to the Harrier identification, the best way the Harriers can be identified are always in flight, and especially with the underwing or upper wing. And some of these pointers that I mentioned here are helpful because over the presentation, these are the pointers that we'll be covering. So I thought it is best to mark some of them. So the green are the primaries, and then the red box are the secondaries, and the gray ones are the coverts. And this is the leading edge. The blue arrow is the leading edge, and the black arrow is the trailing edge. Same applies for the upper wing. Pretty much the same. And also, the upper tail that I mentioned here, which will help in understanding some of the Harrier plumages. And why is it so important? Because just by understanding their flight feathers better, we'll be able to confidently narrow down most of the Harrier groups that we have. So that's the reason I started with this. And moving on, so the numbering of the primaries and the secondaries are also important, because we'll be able to eliminate some of the Harrier groups just by looking at the number of primary feather projection. That alone is not the pointer, but that is also a pointer. When we put it along with the other pointers, we'll be able to narrow it down. So most of the raptors have 10 primary feathers, right? From starting from P1, which is the innermost, and it moves all along until P10. And right after the P1, towards the inner section of the wing, starts the secondaries. So it starts with S1 and it goes all along up to S13. So the secondary feathers are always pointing inwards towards the bird's body, and the primary feathers always point outwards from the bird's body. That is when we'll be able to demarcate where the secondary starts and where the primary starts. Okay. And some of the features that I mentioned, right? Long, flight feathers, and you can see the long tail and unfeathered long tarsi, and weak beak, and also weak, not so strong talons, because they are predominantly prey on insects, amphibians, reptiles, and some of the harriers, like marsh harriers, prey on bigger birds. Otherwise, they are pretty much consume some of the smaller birds, amphibians, and reptiles. Okay, moving on, we'll start with adult males, because this is the easiest of them to narrow down in terms of identification. So we'll start with the Western Marsh Harrier. This is the most widespread Harrier group in the Indian subcontinent. So as you can see in the image, you can see them almost everywhere around. And this again the easiest of all. The Western Marsh Harrier adult male and adult females are the easiest of the all because they stand out with the rest of the adult males and females uh, across the group. And the Western Marsh Harrier male is the only one of the males is the only one which shows a lot of brown and rusty under the coverts as well as on the underbody. And what we need to give, pay more attention is the number of fingers here. So you can see that you can see 5 primary projections here. Okay. So which is of the Marsh Harriers. As you can see, this is P10 and this is P6. They have very long P6, which gives them that 5-finger appearance. And all the male Harriers, they show, a completely black outer primary fingers, this part, right? So both in the upper wing and also in the under wing, they show a completely black, markings across their outer primaries, the outermost primaries. Next one is the very close cousin of the Western Marsh Harrier is the Eastern Marsh Harrier. And this again comes with multiple plumages. What you see here is a male of a very, slightly rarer plumage. We'll be able to see the, common plumage in the slides to come. And again, you see here the entire outer primaries and also, the P6 emarginating well. So between the Western Marsh Harrier and the Eastern Marsh Harrier, they are predominantly they hunt on bigger birds. So they have a very strong beak compared to all the other harriers, and they look very bulky, and because of the heavier beak, when in the side profile, their head looks more pointy compared to the other harriers. And with respect to the Eastern Marsh Harrier, this particular plumage is a completely black head. And again, the outer primary is very much like that of the the Western Marsh Harrier male, but the overall plumage is all pale. So of all the Harrier adult males that we get here, they have a more palish or whitish plumage overall with a bit of brown and black markings all around. And also you can see here, it has a nice black upper wing covers, but otherwise it is completely a pale bird. And as you can see the distribution, you get the Eastern Marsh Harrier on the eastern side of subcontinent, but then slowly they are expanding well into the east coast till the southern India. Next one is the pied harrier, the most sought after species for most of the bird photographers. And as you can see clearly, even though this has a P6 emarginating well and it is giving a 5-finger appearance, the overall width of the panel, the wing panel is very, very sleek, and this gives the pied harrier a very pointed outer wing. So as you can see here in the Western Marsh and the Eastern Marsh, they have a very wide wing panel, and that's the and with the P6 emarginating well, so it looks quite bulky, wherein it is more pointed with respect to the pied harrier. Pied harrier also has a similar completely black head, but then what sets it apart is this black line that you get to see in the upper wing. And in terms of the Eastern Marsh Harrier, you see the entire coverts are black, wherein in terms of the pied harrier, you will see it only in at the border of the greater coverts, and the rest of the coverts will be all gray. Okay. And distribution very, very similar to that of the Eastern Marsh Harrier, but slightly better distributed than the Eastern Marsh Harrier. They are much more common, on the East Coast and also a little bit of Central India and also down south compared to that of the Eastern Marsh Harrier. So all these three Harrier males that we have seen, all of them have this P6 emarginating very, very well, right? Because this is one of the pointers that will be using it across. Next one is the hen harrier. So this is another, special harriers because as you can see, of the harriers that are not marsh and pied, this is the only harrier that is going to show that emarginating P6. and also a little bit of P5 as well. Okay, and this looks very. I mean, we'll be seeing the other Harriers, but then I'll go there. So this is more a slaty gray overall plumage compared to the other two, which is more a whitish plumage. And then, just like the other Harriers, you also see the outer primaries, both upper wing and upper wing. I mean, the upper wing and the lower wing, underwing are completely black. And you also see a nice trailing edge. So you will also see it in the other Harrier groups that we have seen, males. But this has a nice wide black trailing edge, which actually contrasts with the rest of the underwing, whiter underwing. And you also see that the entire outer primaries are, completely black. And yeah, we'll see the, and again, with respect to the distribution, it is more than, it sticks to the northern part of the country, around Himalayas and also around the eastern part of the country. But I think beyond central India, there are no concluding records of the hen harrier. Next one is the pallid harrier, which is very, very close, similar looking that of the hen harrier. But where it differs is with respect to the outer primary marking. As you can see, with respect to hen harrier, this has only 4 fingers, and then the P6 is not so imaginating, so it creates a 4-finger appearance. And also you can see that the P10, the outermost primary, is all gray with respect to hen harrier, where it is completely black. And it is the palest of the harriers with respect to hen harrier and hen pallid and Montagues. And that's the reason it is called a pale harrier or a pallid harrier. And you can see the outer primary black patch, both upper wing and underwing, are not as wide as in terms of the other harriers. It is very conical, and the rest of the body is all pale. And this is after the Western Marsh Harrier, this is the second most widely distributed harrier across the subcontinent. The next one is the Montagu's Harrier. So of all the harriers, right? So some of them are named based on their habitat, the marsh, and the Pied Harrier is named after the Melanoleucus plumage, black and white plumage. Hen Harrier is supposed to be, or is expected to be in hunting poultry, during the earlier stages of the definition, and that's hen harrier. And the pallid harrier because of the pale color. Okay, it is only the Montagu's harrier which is named after a person. I think George Colonel Montague, who defined this harrier for the first time. And of all the harrier groups, this is this has a very unique plumage, especially with the underwing. It shows a nice black line, both underwing and upper wing, goes from the starting of the primaries all across the secondaries up to the body. And it also shows a nice brown, streakings or, markings in the greater and the median coverts. This you will not see it in, any other harriers. And with respect to the Montague Harrier and the Pallid Harrier, Montague is slightly much more gray in color, wherein this is more pale. If you see the Pallid Harrier, sorry, the Hen Harrier, usually it comes with a combination of a Pallid Harrier and a Montague Harrier. You can see that the Montague Harrier has a nice, black trailing edge, and that is there in the Hen Harrier. And wherein in terms of the overall plumage, it is pale, and you don't have any markings in terms of the Pallid Harrier. And also with the Hen Harrier, there are no markings in the coverts and the most of the underwing. So even in the female and the juvenile plumages, hen harrier, you'll always see it as a combination of these two. Okay, that is something that you can keep in mind. So with respect to the prey, each one of them have their own, habitat that they prefer. So basically, Marsh Harrier, both the Marsh Harriers hunt mostly birds, reptiles, and also amphibians. Pied Harrier also more in terms of nestlings and reptiles. Hen Harrier is big bird hunter, and sometimes they take big insects. Pallid harrier is again a bird hunter. It hunts on logs and other passerines, and it also takes insects. But with respect to the Montague harrier, it predominantly takes insect feed along with sometimes eggs and smaller birds. Okay, let's move on. Okay, I'm going to play a quick video because the way that the harriers fly also gives us understanding of how they contour over their habitat, and also this also helps us to up to some extent find out what could be the harrier, right? So Marsh Harrier, both of the Marsh Harriers, they spend a lot of time over the reed beds, and they also stick close to the wetlands or watery areas, and they fly over reed beds and watery areas looking for prey. And with respect to Montague Harriers, they stay away from water, and they are open country birds, and with the insects being their uh, chief prey, they fly very slow over the grass, open country grass, looking for the insect prey. And pallid harriers, as I already mentioned, they are bird hunters, especially roosting larks, pipits, and all other birds. So with respect to that, they are slightly faster flyers. So I'll play the Western Marsh Harrier video here. Hope it is visible. As you see that it is quartering over tall reed or grass bird, scanning for any prey. And now I play the Montague Harrier again, which is similar, right? Very slow flight with respect to Western Marsh Harrier, and then it looks for prey in the grass. But compared to these two, right? Now I play the Pallid Harrier. As you can see that it is a slightly faster flying bird, and especially while you are watching with respect to Montagues and Pallid Harrier, Montagues Harriers quarter within the same range, that they scan slowly around the same area, back and forth they go within the same area, and then slowly they move out of it. Wherein when you see the Pallid Harrier, they fly very straight and across, and then they cover the area pretty quickly. Okay, so that's the reason for this particular video. Let's move on to the next slide. Let's come to the quiz number 1. So Ankita will be sharing us the poll, and let's take the poll. Identify the species in the picture. So you have to make a single choice. Let's see. Ankita, are the answers coming up? I'm not able to see it yet.
Yes, they are coming up. People are still answering. Once they
Okay,
do,
we'll
come,
give 10
I'll state it.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looks like it's neck and neck between multiple species.
Wow. I am unable to see it. So okay. Can we close it and then see the results?
Like a few more seconds. People are
Okay. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
The audience watching on YouTube can also type their answer, whether it's a hen harrier, pallid harrier, or a Montagu's harrier.
Please feel free to make your assumptions. Don't worry about right or wrong answers.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna end the poll now.
Okay. We have interesting polls coming up after this. So let's see.
Yes.
Okay. So we have hen harrier, 40, yeah, 24%. Pallid Harrier, 44%. And Montague's Harrier, 32%. Okay, nice. Okay, so now I'll go back to the pointer that I mentioned, right? At times, the light conditions can make a significant impact on the plumage of the bird. So it is always good to look at more than one pointer to find out, if it is a certain bird. So as I mentioned during, when we covered the males, right? Montague Harrier, among the Montague, Pallid, and Hen Harrier, Montague Harrier is the only one which will be showing a black line both in upper wing and also the under wing, which starts right at the base of the inner primaries and comes all the way up to the secondaries, right? And even though this looks pale because of the lighting conditions, you can also eliminate Pallid Harrier here based on the P10. As I mentioned, P10 for Pallid Harrier male will always be gray. Okay. And then, the P6 is also not emarginating as in terms of the Hen Harrier. So you eliminate Hen Harrier and Pallid Harrier just by looking at the outer primaries, right? That's the reason I mentioned, we have to give so much emphasis on the outer primaries. And in addition to that, this black primary line that comes in, right? That helps us narrow down. Always when we are identifying harriers, even if there is a one prominent pointer which can narrow down the exact species, it is always good to have the other features and other pointers also put in as an, you know, as an concluding evidence, and then have the identification done. And also, if you see here, you also see some, brown streaking that is also will be there only in terms of the Montague's Harrier. So this is a Montague Harrier male. Okay, let's move on to the
GK,
trick. Yes.
sorry to interrupt. There's one question here. Somebody asked, can you please explain once more about P6 on Hen Harrier? I
Okay.
think there was a confusion there.
Okay, let me go back. Okay. So Hen Harriers have, hope my pointer is visible here. Hen Harrier, among these, paler harriers, the group in the second row, Hen Harrier shows a long P6, well emarginating P6, as you can see here, right? So this is P10, 9, 8, 7, 6. This has a very nice, long P6, well emarginating, and also it lacks any kind of black in the, upper wing and the under wing near the greater coverts, or at the edge of the greater coverts. Wherein here, if you see in the Montague Harrier, you see this, black line, which eliminates, both Hen Harrier and Pallid Harrier. And also, I mentioned about P10 of Pallid Harrier is always pale compared to Hen Harrier and Montague Harrier, where it is black. P10 of Pallid Harrier is always pale. By putting together these pointers, we eliminate Hen Harrier and Pallid Harrier, and based on the conclusive evidences, we are tagging it as a Montague's Harrier. Okay, I'll quickly move on because we have the much tricky groups coming up. Western Marsh Harrier. So now we are going to look at the adult females. Western Marsh Harrier. This is again among the adult females. This one stands out because this is the only one which has the nice chocolatey brown overall plumage, and and also has a nice creamy coverts patch here, and also head and the throat patch. No other adult females in this group have a similar plumage. So it is always just like the Marsh Harrier, Western Marsh Harrier males, the females can be easily identified among the adult female groups. Next one is the Eastern Marsh Harrier. As you can see, just like the adult males, this also have the Western Marsh female and the Eastern Marsh female adults have nice long P5, sorry, P6, well emarginating, and which creates a 5-finger appearance. And just like the males, they are also quite bulky. In the Harrier world, the females are much bulkier and bigger in size. Not only they are dimorphic by the plumage, they are also dimorphic by size. the female harriers of all the 6 species here are much bigger than their male partners. And Eastern Marsh Harrier, I'll not cover some of the, not many of the features here because we have other slides coming up. I'll cover much briefly. So this is compared to the Western Marsh Harrier, Eastern Marsh Harrier females have much paler underwing with nice barring, which you will not see the pale patch. You will not see it in the Western Marsh Harrier, and also the bold brown barring all across. From the throat till where the thighs start, you have a nice bold barrings, and the covers are also boldly marked, and the trailing edge also is very wide with respect to the Eastern Marsh Harrier. We'll see more about the Eastern Marsh Harrier female in the upcoming slides. Next one is the Pied Harrier. So Pied Harrier female is the one which looks pretty pale compared to all the other female harriers, especially the adult ones. And Pied Harrier, again, you see that it has a nice barring in the primaries. Just like, unlike the males, the females do not show a completely black outer primary fingers. It is always barred, either barred uniformly or randomly, but they are always barred. And again, female Pied Harrier has a nice outer primary fingers and also barring in the outer primaries, and it has nice streaking, very very thin streaking, which stops at the belly, and most of the belly part is has very finer streakings or completely white. And compared to the Western Marsh Harrier and the Eastern Marsh Harrier, Pied Harrier usually has a owly face when seen straight, with respect to the heavier beak. The Marsh Harrier females gives the extra pointed head appearance compared to the other harriers, just like in the males. Now coming over to the Hen Harrier, again you see, just like the males, P6 imaginating well, creating the 5-finger appearance, and also you see the overall primaries are barred uniformly. And yet another feature, broad trailing edge, and also you see 2 nice secondary barring for the Hen Harriers compared to all the other harriers we have seen so far. And Hen Harriers with the well imaginating P6 and P5, they look quite bulky in the field compared to the other harriers. And moving on to the Pallid Harrier. So Pallid Harrier, just like the Hen Harrier, also shows nice collar, streaky collar, and also it shows the ear covered patch. So the ear covered patch and the collar are not so prominent in other harriers, even though Hen Harrier female has it, but because of the overall the whites around the face of Pallid Harrier, the ear covered patch looks much more broader and prominent with respect to the Pallid Harrier. As you can see here, just like the males of the Pallid Harrier, only the 4-finger are imaginating, P10 to P7, wherein the P6 is not so imaginating, so you get the 4-finger appearance. And as you can compare it with the Hen Harrier, you see the primary markings are not so uniform. They are so jagged, and the secondary markings are also not so uniform. It just stops at the mid of the secondaries. And with respect to the trailing edge, very broad trailing edge, but then it fades away during the inner primaries, and then it follows through. So this is one thing that sets the Pallid Harrier apart from the Hen Harrier, wherein the Hen Harrier, you see that the trailing edge is much more prominent even in the inner primaries. And yeah, moving on to the Montagu's Harrier. So Montagu's Harrier shows a very pale collar, and or the collar is not so prominent, and it has a lot of white in the face, which gives a friendly look compared to the Pallid Harrier. And because of this, the ear covered patch is not so connected. It is hanging around, wherein in terms of the Pallid Harrier, it connects to the eye as well as to the beak below. And the Montagu Harrier, the trailing edge, just like in the Hen Harrier, the trailing edge goes all the way. And as you can see, P10 to P7 are imaginating very, very short, P6. So it is creating the four-finger appearance. And wherein in terms of the markings are much more uniform compared to that of the pallid harrier. And the secondary patch, the secondary barring also goes all the way up to the body. And also the white patch or the white band right next to the trailing edge is also always broad all up to the body, where in terms of pallid harrier it tapers off. Okay, so once more comparison between hen harrier, pallid, and Montague. As you can see, hen harrier is a combination of pallid and Montague harrier. So you can see the trailing edge go all the way up to the inner primaries, just like the Montague. It has this secondary banding going all the way up to the body, just like in the Montague. And wherein in terms of the pale collar, the sticky collar, very prominent collar compared to that of the Montague, it just like the pallid harrier. And also the ear covered patch is more like that of the pallid harrier. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so among these females that we have seen, by looking at the overall structure, the broader wing panel will be able to, and also the imaginating P6, the five-finger appearance, will be able to eliminate Western Marsh, Eastern Marsh, Pied, and also hen. So let's take a deep dive into the pallid and Montague Harrier females. Okay. So as I mentioned in the previous slide, so Montague and pallid harrier females show the four-finger appearance. Okay. So when we see the pallid and Montague harrier in the field, they have the more pointy finger appearance because of the shorter P6. And along the same lines, I also mentioned about the way that they cover the field. Montague Harriers slowly quarters over the same area wherein pallid flies past. That also can be when the birds are flying a little away, that can also be a pointer. And as you can see, for Montague Harrier females, for Montague and pallid, just by looking at the overall flight feathers, you'll be able to conclude the ID. So when the trailing edge goes all the way along to the inner primaries, and also it contrasts with the white band just comes after the in the secondaries right after the trailing edge, which sets the pallid apart. The Montagues apart from that of the pallid. So and also you see that the outer primary barring is much more uniform compared to that of the pallid harrier, wherein in terms of the pallid harrier, this white band tapers off, and also the black band is not so clear with respect to that of the Montague harrier. And finally, little bit of concentration in the coverts. In terms of the Montague harrier, most of the Montague females, the entire coverts part is uniformly streaked. It is less streaked in the lesser coverts, but it is densely streaked in the median and the greater coverts part. Wherein in terms of the pallid harrier, the lesser coverts are always pale, and wherein the greater and the median coverts are streaky. Compared to the coming to the head part, pallid harrier shows a nice collar because they have this neck boa, very strong neck boa, and also this ear covered patch connects to the neck, connects to the beak and also to the eyes. And wherein in terms of the Montagues, it just hangs around and it never connects to the eyes and the beak. So for that reason, the pallid harrier shows a nice collar and the broad ear coverts. So few more images of Montagues and pallid. As you can see, the trailing edge stops in the inner primaries with respect to the pallid, wherein it continues over to the Montagues. And again, I have pointed out how this white band goes all the way with the same width in terms of Montagues, wherein it tapers out in the pallid. And some amount of we can see it in the auxiliaries also, right? In most of the birds, when we see it in the close range, Montague female will show this checkered type of axillary feathers. They're broad broad white band, broad brown band, which gives a checkered appearance. Wherein in terms of the pallid, it is more the white will look more like a dots, wherein the brown are very broad. Okay, and also you see that Montagues have a longer outer primary. That is, the P10 is longer in Montague compared to that of the pallid harrier adults. So you see that the length of the P10 is almost the length of the P6 in terms of the Montague, wherein in terms of pallid harrier adult females, the P10 falls short in, it is between P6 and P5. So only, when we have images, it is very difficult to look at in the field. But when we have images, this is pretty clear. Always the length of P10 is long in terms of the Montagues, which falls with respect to the, same size of that of the P6. Okay, and also you can see here the ear coverts patch in this image also, it's hanging around, but it is not connected, whereas this is well connected in terms of the pallid. Okay, now let's move on to the quiz number 2. So Ankita, you can, yes, there it goes. So it is more about not identifying the species. You identify the species and also mention, right, which are the concluding pointers through which you'll be able to identify the species. Ankita, hope the answers are coming up.
Yes, they are coming up.
Okay. Okay, how is it looking so far?
Looking good. We'll wait for a few more seconds.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to end the poll now.
Yep. Okay, let the answers be there. Okay, so yeah, that will help me, point out. Okay, perfect. Okay, again, it's the mix, and the all of the above is actually a googly there. So usually, we are tend to go with all of the above whenever we see it, in different quiz. So that is a googly. Let me go through this, pointers very quickly. Okay, prominent collar and 4 primary fingers. So this is actually not showing any, prominent collar here, or it is not very conclusive. So we'll not be able to go with that. Thin trailing edge and unmarked coverts. So trailing edge, it is neither thin, not so broad, but coverts, as you can see, it is marked. So these two are getting, neglected right there. And primary markings and secondary barring. Okay, so let's look at the primary markings. It is uniform all across. And the secondary barring, you can see that the secondary barring is going all the way up to, the body, and it is very well marked. So the all of the above is a googly, but the answer is the primary markings and the secondary barring. And okay, let's see what the answer is. So can you put down in the chat if somebody can, Ankita, if you can read out if the answers are coming up in the chat quickly before we move on. 10 seconds. Or let me, yep.
Yes, a lot of them are guessing Montague, female.
Absolutely. Okay, that's good. Okay, we're going good. Okay, let's go to the next set. Now, we are going one step further. Now that we know Montague's adult females and the pallid harrier adult females, now it is quite simple to have the hen harrier covered, right? As I already told you, the hen harrier females is a combination of the pallid harrier female and the Montague harrier female. You can see the streaky collar among all the three birds, but then it is very, very prominent with hen harrier and also pallid harrier. As you can see, the the secondaries, right? You see nicely the secondary barrings are reaching out till the body, just like in the Montague harrier, wherein it is completely missing with respect to the pallid harrier. And so the trailing edge, it's a combination, right? Some for most of the birds, the trailing edge of the hen harrier goes, all the way to the inner primaries also. But I specifically picked this bird because it was not showing such a darker, inner primaries. But then it is still showing up, broad, broad banding in the inner primaries compared to that of the pallid. And also you see the well emarginating P6. I call this out because that is one thing that can help us eliminate these two, right? The pallid and the Montague harrier females immediately in the field. And because of this, it is having a very broad wing panel. The female hen harrier is having a very broad wing panel. And also you can see with respect to the P10, it is about the size of, P5, just like, that of the pallid. But then the P6 stands out. Okay. And the outer primary barring, it's uniform, just like that of the Montague harrier. Okay. And yeah, one other pointer I missed to mention is with this irregular barring that the pallid female has, most of the times this barring sticks to the middle portion of this primaries. So which gives, this particular portion white, so which looks like a boomerang, the white boomerang type. Many of the birds show this white boomerang type patch in just outside the carpal or just outside the greater covered edge. Okay. Wherein that will be missing with respect to the Montague and the hen harrier. Okay, let's move on. Quiz number 3. Okay, this is a single choice question. Identify the species. We have pallid female, Marsh harrier immature male, hen harrier female, and the Montague harrier female. So whatever is visible in the image, you can try to get clues out of it, and then we can get going. Hope the answers are coming up.
Yes, they are. Please feel free to put in your guesses without worrying about right or wrong answers.
Yes. So if you, all the visible clues that I spoke about, right? Just, looking at the flight feathers, right? You'll be able to narrow down or eliminate some of the species straight away. Okay. So that's the reason I emphasize so much about, when you see a flying harrier and it is not a male and it's a female or juvenile, pay attention to the flight feathers the most. Okay. Can you see the results? Okay. Again, mixed results, but the answer is standing out. So it is the hen harrier female, and pallid harrier, as I told you, we can eliminate based on the well emarginating P6. As you can see, P6 is almost as long as, almost touching that of the P8 length, and then that eliminates both pallid harrier and also the Montague harrier. And in addition to that, you can also see the trailing edge and also some part of the secondary line, the secondary banding that is going all the way up to the body. You can see it in underwings. And also, you can eliminate Marsh Harrier immature male. How? We will see it, shortly. Okay. Yeah. So the answer is N Harrier male. Most of you had got it. So the rule of thumb is eliminate. Going by the elimination, you can have less number of species to look at, and by that rule of thumb, we'll be able to put in the pointers that I mentioned with respect to the underwing and also the flight feathers, and you'll be able to narrow it down. Let's move on. Okay, now so far what we are seeing is all with respect to the adult females, right? Now there are certain certain birds that holds a similar plumage across genders. Okay, so now we are going to look at the pied harrier adult female and the eastern Marsh Harrier adult male, all also immature males. So this is the most misidentified species all across, because they have a very closer looking plumage, and with even the underwing and the fingers, the P with the P6 emarginating in terms of the pied harrier, it becomes a overhead, and with the markings again it becomes a overhead. So they are very closely plumage, both in underwing and also in upper wing. But there are certain clues that will help us identify them with ease. Okay. With respect to the pied harrier females, I mean, overall, if you see, the underwing and also the upper wing, plumage wise, when you are seeing them at a greater distance, it looks pretty much the same. But if you pay close attention to the outer primary fingers, the pied harrier has prominent barrings in the outer primaries, right? So the fingers are dark. The outer fingers are dark. There are 5 fingers with P6 emarginating. The Eastern Marsh Harrier also has the 5 fingers with P6 emarginating. But then the Eastern Marsh Harrier will always show a smudge, or it will always show completely black outer primaries compared to that of the evenly barred pied harrier female. This is to start with. Okay. And when you see the side profile, the structure also differs. For pied harrier, it has a more parabolic and owly face with the beak, and a smaller or weaker beak. Wherein in terms of the Marsh Harrier, they show a very strong beak, and in the side profile, if you see the second set of images, right? The pied harrier has a very small beak, wherein it is very pointed and broad with respect to the Eastern Marsh Harrier. With respect to the underwing, most of the other part are pretty much matching. So the way that we can conclude the pied harrier female and the Eastern Marsh Harrier very positively by looking at the upper wing. It is the upper wing and the tail that gives us the concluding clues to have the pied harrier female and the Eastern Marsh Harriers separated. Okay, the pied harrier female has a nice brown barring always in the tail, wherein this will be completely missing with respect to the Eastern Marsh Harrier. Sometimes they show thin brown barring, which is restricted to the basal part of the tail, but never like that of the pied harrier female, showing a broad brown barring all across. And also with respect to the coverts, the pied harrier female will show a nice white line in the lesser coverts, which will be missing in most of the Eastern Marsh Harriers, and which is followed by a pale or buffy patch of lesser and medium coverts. Wherein with respect to the Eastern Marsh Harrier, it is a combination of blotchy black, white, and also buffy spottings all across. Also, if you look at the upper primaries, upper outer primaries on the upper wing, you will see pretty much the same with respect to the pied harrier female. So it is the under wing outer primaries which shows the barring, and in the upper wing we have to always look at the tail followed by the covered patch. And if you see the Eastern Marsh Harrier, the scientific name, the Circus pilonotus, it is based on this marking, the black and white spots that we have. Based on that only, it is the binomial name is named. Okay. So this is the Pied Harrier female, adult female, and the Eastern Marsh Harrier adult male are the ones which are usually misidentified. And you can see in the first slide that I showed a different male, which has a completely black head, which looked more like a Pied Harrier, wherein this type of male, with a slightly brownish or blacker head with a lot of streakings, and with looks more like a Pied Harrier female, is the one that we get in. That is more common. Okay. Okay. Quiz number 4. Let's see, Ankita, if you can bring up the quiz. I'll be going a little faster because I know we are already reached 8 p.m. So yeah, which is the best concluding pointer here? So before you go to the pointer, you have to identify, eliminate some of the species, identify what could be the species, and then you can pick one or all of the above as the concluding pointer. We have coverts, both upper wing and also underwing. You can think about it. Outer primaries, yes. Trailing edge, yes. And you also have all the above option here. Hope the answers are coming up.
Yes, they are.
Perfect. Okay, we'll give 10 more seconds and then can publish the results. So Ankita, quick check. So does this meeting ends by itself in a specified time, or are we good in case if we go 5-10 minutes
Yeah,
than the planned time?
we're good. We're good. It won't end by itself.
Perfect.
I'm gonna end the poll now.
Yes. Okay. Again, we got a mixed answers, but then the actual answer stands out. All of the above is once again a googly, because the trailing edge, cannot be a concluding pointer here, because to identify the species, it is very difficult because in the previous slide we covered about that. And again, coverts also, right? Yeah, some part of the coverts are visible, but they cannot be the concluding factor with respect to the species that is confusing with the species that we are actually seeing. This is the Eastern Marsh Harrier. Okay, so the answer is the outer primaries. As you can see, the overall outer primaries, it is for the males. The outer primaries is always completely dark without any barring. So that eliminates all the females. Now, going by the pointers that we have seen, the well-emarginating P6 eliminates both Pallid and Montague. And the Marsh Harrier females are always dark. So that gives us only Hen Harrier, Pied Harrier female, and then followed by Hen Harrier female, Pied Harrier female, and Eastern Marsh Harrier. So Eastern Marsh Harrier female. Again, those also have nicely barred primaries. So based on the outer primary fingers, both underwing and upper wing, and also you see some part of the blotchy upper coverts. So and the pointed more strong beak. So this is actually a Eastern Marsh Harrier male. Let's move on. Now we will look at again across genders. There are different species that have a very similar plumage. Hen Harrier juvenile, Eastern Marsh Harrier adult female, and the Western Marsh Harrier adult male, or even an immature male. These three are again misidentified with respect to the overall plumage, because all of them show this nice, rusty brown streakings in the body, and also all of them show a kind of paler underwing overall, right? So hen harrier, as you can see, uh, just like in the adult females, it shows nice broad trailing edge, and also it shows two broad secondary banding, which will be missing both in terms of Eastern Marsh Harrier female and also the Western Marsh Harrier male. So this secondary banding will be completely missing in these two, which this sets this apart. And along with that, the collar and the ear coverts are very, very prominent with respect to the hen harrier compared to that of the Eastern Marsh Harrier and the Western Marsh Harrier male. So this sets the hen harrier apart. Now moving into the Eastern Marsh Harrier and the Western Marsh Harrier, Eastern Marsh Harrier female and Western Marsh Harrier, just like the Pied Harrier female and the Eastern Marsh Harrier male, the outer primary fingers help us separate these two. As in the males, the outer primaries are completely dark, wherein the Eastern Marsh Harrier it is barred, and also the Eastern Marsh Harrier female shows some part of, some amount of darker, ear coverts, not as prominent as in the hen, but it shows a bit of darker ear coverts, wherein it will be completely missing in the Western Marsh Harrier male, which gives a more whitish, head compared to that of the hen harrier juvenile and Eastern Marsh Harrier female. And with respect to the barring, for the Western Marsh Harrier male, it starts a bit of a streaking, and then it becomes very feeble, wherein it is all broad up to the belly with respect to hen harrier and the Eastern Marsh Harrier female. And you can also see in the Eastern Marsh Harrier gives a more whitish, base of the primaries, and the secondary barring just stops at the starting of the primaries. So, and for all the three, the P5, sorry, the P6 will be well emarginating. So that cannot be treated as a pointer here. So based on the outer primaries and the secondaries at the combination of the head, the collar and the ear coverts, will be able to eliminate some of them, and will be able to conclude the ID. Okay, quiz number 5. So identify the species. You have a single choice. Eastern Marsh female, okay, 7%. Hen Harrier juvenile, 26%. Hen Harrier female, 23%. Pallid Harrier, okay. Pallid Harrier is slowly increasing. Hen Harrier is also catching up. Nice. You have 43% participated. Yeah, let's see. We'll give 10 more minutes. Okay. Can we end the poll? Okay. So the Hen Harrier female and the Pallid Harrier female are, very closely, or okay, Hen Harrier juvenile is also there. Yeah. Hen Harrier juvenile, 27%. Hen Harrier female, 26%. But Pallid Harrier female is standing out, 31%. Perfect. This is, yeah. So now the reason we have got Hen Harrier juvenile and the Hen Harrier female answers, and also Eastern Marsh Harrier female, is because of this P6. So by looking at this P6, we have concluded that, so this is a 5-fingered, which has a 5-fingered appearance. and it is most likely, the rest of the birds, and it is not a pallid harrier. Okay. And that's the reason we have to have the other concluding, other pointers put together before we conclude. As you can see, the trailing edge is going all the way here and it stops for the inner primaries. Okay. And you can also see the white secondary banding. It starts here, but it is fading out. And we can also see the primary banding is very, very irregular, and it is also creating this nice boomerang shape. Okay. So, and also the ear covered patch is quite prominent, and the collar is also there, and it is connecting to the eye and also to the beak. Actually, the answer is pallid harrier female. Some of the pallid harrier adult or old pallid harrier females in some age actually shows this P6 emargination. That is the reason we have to put the other pointers before we conclude on a particular species level. Okay. I see a hand being raised, but we'll take the questions a little later. Okay, let's move on. Can we close the poll? Okay. Okay, let's move on to the juveniles quickly. Let's take a quick look at the pallid harrier and Montagu's harrier juveniles. Again, these two are quite commonly misidentified birds, and but there are certain clues that actually keep them apart. So Montague harrier, juveniles always show a very, very not so prominent ear coverts, and because of that, the neck boa is also not present, and the collar is very, very not so prominent. Wherein with respect to the pallid harrier, it has a nice ear coverts patch, and the neck boa is also very prominent, and this creates a nice collar all across. Okay, to start with, there are certain ages of Montague harrier juveniles when they matured over to the subadults, some birds show a prominent collar. So that alone could not be a concluding pointer to narrow down the species. But there is one thing that stands out with respect to the Montague harrier juvenile is most of the Montague harrier juvenile show a completely dark outer primary, outer primaries, and also it shows a night white patch at the base of the outer primaries. This will be completely missing in any ages of pallid harrier juvenile. When you see a completely dark outer primary finger, and when there is a nice white pale patch with respect to the outer primary base, that will conclude that it is a Montague harrier juvenile. And again, with respect to just like the other adults that we have seen, Montague harrier and pallid harrier shows only 4-finger primary, excepting the one bird that we have seen before. Some of the birds, especially the pallid harriers, show little bit of imagination of P6, but unlike hen or pied harrier, it may not be as long as that of the P7. And some of the Montague harrier juveniles also show nice uniform banding, just like that of the females. And the trailing edge is again constant all across. With respect to the secondaries, there is no concluding pointer that we can pinpoint. Using that, we'll be able to identify the Montague and pallid harrier juveniles. So when you see a juvenile that is a rusty orange in color, and you see that there are 4 primaries and it has a pointy wings, and it is either a pallid harrier or a juvenile pallid or Montague harrier, that all we can concentrate is in the outer primaries, right? So you see the nice white patch and also a black outer primaries. Even if there it is as a barring, it shows that nice black outer primaries, as you can see here, which will be missing with respect to of the pallid harrier. When you see that the hands are completely dark, and also there is a nice pale patch at the base of the primaries, and the ear covered patch is also weak. That concludes it's a Montague Harrier juvenile. In contrary, Pallid Harrier juvenile will not show a completely dark outer primary finger, and also this patch will be missing with respect to the Pallid Harrier. And some of the Pallid Harrier also show this nice uniform barring, just like that of the Montague, but it will be missing at the base of the primary, and it creates that boomerang, white boomerang shape that I mentioned it in some of the females also will show. This white patch, boomerang patch, will be missing in any of the Montagues, but with respect to the Pallid Harrier, the head and the prominent ear covered patch, the collar, and also the neck boa sets them apart. We'll quickly look at the next set, which is the Eastern Marsh Harrier and the Western Marsh Harrier juvenile. This is another set which is very, very tricky because they also hybridize, and there are a lot of integrates. And because of that reason, up to some extent, we can narrow down the Marsh Harrier juveniles. So on the left, it is the Eastern Marsh Harrier. This one is the Western Marsh Harrier juvenile. So compared to the female Western Marsh Harrier, adult Western Marsh Harrier female, the juveniles will not show so much of pale creamy patch in the head and the throat, and also in the coverts it will be completely missing. And wherein with respect to the Eastern Marsh Harrier, it shows a lot of white in the face, and also it shows a nice breast band or streaking. And in the underwing, the best way to pick a Eastern Marsh Harrier from the Western Marsh Harrier juvenile is by looking at the base of the primary. The Eastern Marsh Harrier shows a big, broad, white primary patch at the base of the primaries, which will be missing with the Western Marsh Harrier. Some of the Western Marsh Harrier juveniles show a small pale patch, which is restricted to the base of the inner primaries, wherein it is pretty widespread with respect to that of the Eastern Marsh Harrier. And especially while you're looking at the Eastern and the Western Marsh Harrier, the best pointer that can conclude the ID is by looking at the tail. Eastern Marsh Harrier juveniles in all ages will show a nice banding in the tail, which will be completely missing with respect to the Western Marsh Harrier. Western Marsh Harrier have a more plain brown tail, be it the upper tail or the side, the rest of the tail feathers, wherein the Eastern Marsh Harrier shows this nice white upper tail coverts, followed by that banding. So the way that we have, most of the times have narrowed down the Eastern Marsh Harrier juveniles is by looking at this upper tail covered patch and also the banding. And as I told you, as there are there are a lot of hybridization happened between the Western and the Eastern cousins. Some of the Eastern Marsh Harrier and also Western Marsh Harrier juveniles show some kind of banding in the inner primaries, which can also happen in the Western Marsh Harrier, some of the juveniles as well. So those are, I think, we have to leave it out until otherwise, we have seen the upper tail and we can conclude them as Eastern Marsh Harriers. Okay.
Just to remind you, we have 10 more minutes.
Okay.
And we have to take questions.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pied Harrier juvenile. So compared to all the other juveniles, this is more rusty in coloration, and you can also see they have they come in two plumages. Mostly the males come with without any primary banding, wherein the female juveniles usually have a nice banding in the outer primaries. It is more rusty brown in coloration compared to that of the Pallid and Montague juveniles, and they also show nice banding. As I already told you, it shows banding in the secondaries, which will be faint, but in good lighting conditions you can see that. And also you see the a nice collar in both the birds, male and the female. And yeah, let's move on. Quiz number 6. So I'm rushing a bit so that we are on time. So we covered most of the birds. So which combination concludes the ID here? So the faint collar and coverts marking, the faint collar and the coverts marking, the trailing edge and the primary markings, the trailing edge and the primary markings, the secondary markings and protruding P6 finger, the primary markings and the streaked collar. So yeah, again, once again, we have a mixed set of answers. Okay. Okay, we have more than 50, close to 50% people have participated. Let's wait for 10 more seconds, then we can close up. Can we end the poll and show the results? Okay, perfect. So we have mixed answers. So the most that we have got is trailing edge and primary markings. Trailing edge is going nicely and the primary markings, but this could not be a concluding pointer because the Montague Harrier and the Hen Harrier both have the trailing edge going all the way here and also the primary markings, right? So the next one is 30% is secondary markings and the protruding P6 finger. Yeah, that's the answer. And the other two are faint collar and coverts marking. So the faint collar and coverts marking will not be able to conclude with that because many of the species have that. And also the primary markings and the streaked collar. Primary markings, again, we have multiple species have the primary marking. So this is actually a Hen Harrier juvenile, and based on this nice secondary barring, the more than one bars which reach up to the body, and also the protruding P6 finger eliminates the other harriers. So that's so that's the answer. Okay, let's move on. Okay, quiz number 7. So this is going to be a chat-based quiz. So let's see what we get in the chat. So let's go with the bird one first. Okay, this is a chat-based quiz, and yeah, we just have one more slide to cover so that we can conclude. Let's go with the bird number 1. Okay, we're getting a lot of hen males here. Okay. Okay. Everyone are saying hen. Okay. So there is a MH that had come in. That is Marsh Harrier or Montague Harrier. Okay. Okay. Again, mixed set of answers. Okay. So again, look at the outer primary fingers. We see 4 outer primary fingers. Let's say, the P6 is not grown. I mean, it is grown and it is not still growing. Considering the 4 primary fingers, it eliminates the rest of the birds, right? And most of them had said hen male. So the regular hen male, I mean, this is a very tricky plumage. So this is actually a Montague's Harrier male. Okay. So Montague's Harrier about 5 to 10% of the Montague Harrier males have this, very rare, somebody says clean bold, yeah, very rare, occurring plumage of Montague Harrier. You see the 4 primary fingers is a dark form of Montague Harrier male that occurs across. I remember seeing one of these darker Montague Harrier male occurring somewhere around central India, in the last couple of years. I am not remembering where. So this is actually a Montague Harrier. You see 4 primary finger out, the overall, bird structure. And let's go to the next one, bird 2. Let's start with bird 2, pallid male. Okay, hen male, pallid male, pallid. Okay, pallid male, pallid male. Okay, pallid male. Okay, hen male. Okay, so it's a combination of pallid and hen male. I mean, which is good, right? The bird is showing. Yeah, most of them are saying pallid male. Okay. Okay, I'll just take. Yes, P6, absolutely. Yeah. Some of them are looking at P10, both underwing as well as upper wing. Some of them are looking at P6. So, and also, please pay close attention to the trailing edge. P10 is white, yes. Yeah, P10 is white, which is P6. Yeah. Okay. So this bird is actually showing, okay, it's a combination. Okay, it's showing the features of both a pallid harrier and a hen harrier. Pallid harrier with respect to the overall plumage and right, the dark trailing edge that you see here is a hen harrier feature. The long P6 that you see here is a hen harrier feature. But look at this P10, both in upper wing and outer wing, that many of them had pointed out, is all pale. And also the patch, the way that the black patch appears in the outer primaries, it looks more that of a pallid male. This is actually a hybrid of pallid harrier and hen harrier. So that's the reason I mentioned it in the starting of the discussion itself, that the reason we have this diverse plumages and diverse set of features that are showing up in the different juveniles and the females is because probably some of them have a common parent long ago, and yeah, they hybridize much more than we think of. Okay, let's move on. Okay, quickly on the iris color transformation. So the birds that you see here are all Montague Harrier. So the adult males and females of most of the species show a nice, yellow iris, and the juvenile males show a lighter yellow iris, wherein the juvenile females shows a browner iris. Okay, and with respect to the juveniles, as they age, right, juveniles males, they turn from lighter yellow to the bright yellow, wherein in terms of the juvenile females, from brown it turns to amber, lighter brown in subadult and amber in near adult, and in full adults it becomes a completely yellow. So the iris also is a good pointer. When you have a closer look at the bird, it also helps us narrow down the age of the bird, and along with that the facial markings, and once you have the underwing, it helps us narrow down the species. To conclude, so give more weightage to the overall shape, structure, and habitat, because that eliminates some of these species. And especially, most of the time we see harriers in flight, and seeing the underwing is quite easy compared to that of the other species. So concentrate on the underwing, especially the flight feather markings, followed by the markings in head to have multiple pointers to conclude. Take as many photographs as possible, and because we see them under challenging conditions, sometimes we'll not be able to see all the pointers. It will be zipping across us, so you'll not be able to see all the pointers. But over the time, once you train yourself at where to look, right, it is quite easy. That's from my field observation. And reach out to the experts with the field notes and photographs if you have, if identification is not possible in the field. And it is perfectly fine. Not every bird that we see in the field, photograph in the field, has to be identified as a name to be put on. It is completely fine. We can leave them unidentified, mark them as at the species level, and put them in the eBird checklist. So that brings me to the end of this discussion. Hope it was useful. The tricks and trades that I mentioned, the underwing, the flight feathers are the ones that are going to help us narrow down the Harrier species with much more ease. So thank you so much, Bird Count India, and we can, open it for questions and discussions.
Thank you, GK. It was a lovely presentation, and I hope people will have to keep revisiting a couple of times to remember all the information that you have shared. But thanks so much. It was really very informative. We'll end this up in 2 minutes. So maybe you can have a look at the Q&A if you can read and maybe pick up a couple of questions.
Yes.
And I think the rest of the questions, if we are not able to answer, please, GK, you can type your email ID in the chat box so people can reach out to you.
Sure.
Okay, so Ankita,
I'm trying to bring
yeah, you go ahead. If you can see the Q&A, or maybe Ashwin, one of you can pick it up.
I think GK answered some of these questions at the end of the presentation.
Sorry, I didn't get you, Ashwin.
I said some of the questions are about hybridization, so that was answered with the googly.
Okay. Why Harriers come earlier than other wintering birds? Okay. Other wintering birds, I'm not sure, how we are comparing. They start coming around, September, end September. So probably other wintering. I mean, they actually come along with, other. I mean, it is see, if you compare it with, let's say, peregrine or other bird species which are relying on wetland birds for the feed, then it makes sense because they come along with, other set of birds. Wherein Harriers, I think we get all the waders and other things much early in the cycle, or the wintering cycle. So I mean, Ashwin, you can help me out with that. Why they are coming early? I'm not sure if it is, we can call it an early. So is there any ratio of male and female Harriers winter in India? Somehow I feel males with the completely gray plumage are always less than the female and juveniles. Interesting. So one thing that I think I didn't mention about the Harrier, or I mentioned about, is they are polygynous, right? So in the winter, I mean, some of the breeding birds are polygynous. So the males will pair with more than one females. I'm not sure if there is a percentage, difference with respect to the population, male and females. So, and okay. Okay, the primary feathers. So you start from the inner primaries, right? I think I had a slide for it. So you start from the inner primaries and then you go out. So P1 starts, P1 is the innermost primary, and then from there you start counting outside. So is there a difference in the primaries in pallid and Montague that we covered? Are there known hybrid Montague and pallid? Yes, there are hybrid Montague and pallid also. Yes. Can tail barrings be prominent feature to distinguish between Montague and pallid, or does it vary among individuals? So no, it is not such a prominent feature. It vary among individuals. Usually it is darker brown in terms of the Montague females, wherein in terms of the pallid females, I mean, it is more brownish in terms of the Montague females. It is more darker brown or black in terms of the pallid females, but that cannot be a distinguishable feature. Fastest harrier, I mean, very hard to say. If you ask me, I'll say pallid, because that's the fastest that I have seen in the field. Is there a name of the feather on the leading edge after P10? Is also part of the cover. It's visible on the female eastern Marsh Harrier image. Probably the alula feathers is what that you have seen. That is also showing up even in the image in this slide, right? So faster harrier many has for. Is hybridization known to occur in the harrier species found in India? Absolutely, yes, yes. Eastern Marsh Harrier, Western Marsh Harrier hybridize, pallid and hen hybridize, Montague and pallid hybridize. Okay, yeah. I think other questions are all came in a little bit early, so yeah.
Yeah. All right, GK, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you to the audience also for all of those who stayed till the end, and also for everybody who listened to most part of it. And please do follow us for our next webinar. It will be on 5th October, and you will find information on our Bird Count India Instagram channel. And GK, if you have any more questions for GK, please feel to email GK, and otherwise just leave a comment in the YouTube, Bird Count India's YouTube channel if you have any questions, and then we can take it up to GK. So thanks everyone, and thanks
Thank you so
Ankita,
much.
thanks Ashwin, thanks GK.
Thank you so
Have a
much.
wonderful weekend.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.